The way to solve poverty is not for more rich people to think about poverty.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Jeff Heilman Project. I am Jessica Heilman.
And I'm Jeff Heilman. Good evening.
And it is, since our last episode, we have had the first day of fall, although it feels like the middle of summer outside.
99 degrees today.
When we were driving through Morgan Hill, I looked at my car and it said like 101, and I went, wow, so this is fall in California, Northern California. Oh, wow. So, but also we've got some exciting news today. In addition to reaching like 270 followers, woohoo, subscribers, plus lots of downloads on the podcast. You guys keep those podcast downloads coming. Jeff Heilman went back to school. It has been the cutest thing to go back to school shopping with you.
Back to school. I got my school supplies
You
today.
had to go get your pencils and your scissors and your little glue stick. Would you like to share with our audience your decision to go back to school and exactly what you're taking and why?
Well, I've thought I have no interest in going back to school, first of all, as far as like going back to school. I don't care about grades. I don't care about graduating. I don't care about diplomas. A lot of people do, and God bless them. I hope they do. I hope they get the degrees and grades that they want. But that, I could not be less interested in those things. What I do want, what I'm interested in is education, which is to, it comes from the Greek word edukate, which means to pull out of somebody something that's already in them. So rather than put something in somebody that they don't have, it's to actually bring out of somebody something that they already have. And I have always enjoyed sketching and drawing and just doodling, but I don't have any real direction or skill or sense of, I don't know, I wouldn't say skill, but like I don't know how to hold the pen. I don't know what to draw. I don't know how to do
You're always
compositions.
asking me about perspective, like you'd like to learn.
Yeah, perspective.
A lot of time.
Well, somebody please answer me on that.
A lot of time spent on drawing in perspective.
How do they do those awesome perspectives? Or like the strings, like the piece of paper with the 3 points, and then they drag the strings around and draw lines on them, and then they get this perfect view of the room from a bubble lens perspective. I mean, I've seen some incredible stuff done, and I just have no skill in that area. I don't know how to sketch. I don't know how, like, if I look at something, I could do a still life okay, but like to do a landscape or something, I just don't know how to do that. So I want to go learn how to draw. And what I'm seeing is that the foundation of all visual arts is drawing, and the foundation of drawing is seeing. So when I'm learning how to look at things, subjects, shapes, colors, shadows differently than I've done in the past. And like even now when I'm looking at your face, I'm seeing triangles and circles and trapezoids and I'm seeing your face broken down into blocks because I'm practicing that skill. So yeah, going back to school and taking a beginning drawing class.
If any of you would like to look at some artists for drawing, I think one of my favorite is, of course, M.C. Escher, Escher. He's the one responsible for a lot of those ink drawings with the stairs going upside down and sideways. And I think there's this one where there's like a lens. It's a man in a fisheye lens that is just so cool to look up. So look him up. Some other pen artists, pen and ink, were, of course, Picasso. That's a famous one with his sketches. And
Yep.
I mean, just about every artist, Leonardo da Vinci has their sketches out for viewing, and that's pretty much what this class is beginning teaching you. I'm just so excited to talk about that. You are, we're entering into that half of our life where we get to participate, where we should potentially participate in hobbies, and beginning to look at, that there's more outside of the scope than work and raising kids. And this, I'm excited for you. I know that a lot of very successful people have taken up gardening or painting or pottery or ceramics or something in in their, more senior years that would give them something to do a creative outlet, in addition to golf and evidently pickleball. Evidently, that's a
No,
thing for older people.
I don't
But
play pickleball.
we're here. We have a pumpkin on the set because Andrew
Oh,
was
there we
like,
go.
hey, it's October. It's the 1st of October. Those of you who are listening and not watching, we have a glowing pumpkin here because we were going to talk about some of the things we're going to talk about in the month of October are like Halloween and on the spooky meter, I am like a negative 100 because there's nothing spooky. I'm not. I don't. Okay, so truth be told, I do appreciate a good thriller movie. I loved. Hey, you got to admit, Panic Room
Panic Room
was
it was too much stress. I couldn't watch it.
well.
I
Panic
got up
Room.
and left like 3 different times.
If
You
y'all
watched that movie.
haven't watched Panic Room, that is a fantastic
It's
Conrad
Conrad
Hall
Hall, yeah, our
thriller.
guy from the Worldwide Business.
Let me think. What other? Well, of course, all the Hitchcock movies. But so for me,
Rear
growing up,
Window was great.
oh yeah,
Birds was great.
yeah,
There's been I like Hitchcock.
Hitchcock. I can't do thrashers. I
I don't
remember
like seeing dead people.
I remember growing up going to a slumber party at a girlfriend's house, and I think it was her birthday, but her birthday happened to be like in October, so it must have been in Halloween. Because they thought it would be great to, do a slumber party. And during that slumber party, and I'm thinking like, God, I must have been like 11 or something. I mean, I was little. And they're thinking that, hey, wouldn't it be fun to watch, Friday,
Night of the
Friday
Living
the
Dead
13th. And like, let's binge. Let's watch all these horror movies all night long with all these girls. And I guess as an adult, I think, hearing little girls eating popcorn and screaming, you're like, yeah, like, I guess it could be fun, but for me, it was like I just remember, laying there, like trying to be cool and like look like I'm looking at the TV, but I'm like really looking over in the corner and not looking at the TV.
I'd be looking over in the corner too.
I mean, it's just like not my jam.
Nope.
And then I don't know what it was. It was like a Hitchcock documentary, or there was some. It was probably how Hitchcock did those little interviews before the film. And all I remember hearing him saying was like, you might be able to close your eyes, but you cannot close your ears from the scream. And I was like, oh my
thanks,
He's
Hitch.
got my number. But growing up, I was pretty much in a divided house. My mom was not for trick-or-treating.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, yeah, my mom was not for trick or treating. That was not Christian, so it was not. She didn't want to support it. But my dad was for it and was like, dude, grace message and let the girl go trick or treating, be with her friends. It's just like you're too religious. And so my dad went out and I got to go trick or treating. But my mom would write scriptures on little pieces of paper, and she would put scriptures in with the candy, and she would drop. So if you grew up in the Bay Area and you went trick or treating and stopped by my house, you got scripture in your tote bag with your candy. Speaking of candy, at Safeway today, no joke, less than 2 hours ago at Safeway today, 65-piece chocolate mixed candy. Guess how much? 65 pieces.
65 pieces.
60
the fun
of
size, the little one?
The little fun size, 65 with like Snickers and Twix and like the real candies.
I don't know, $10?
$19.99 on sale from $24.99 for 65 pieces.
That sounds really high to me.
It is really high. That's insanity.
Wow.
$19.99 for 65
Guess
pieces.
who's going trick-or-treating this year?
I'm just saying, if you, first
Sell
of
it
all,
on eBay.
dude, the rich houses are going to be the ones with the like the fun size candy is going to be the rich houses this year. Remember when the rich houses were the king size bars?
Yeah.
Now everybody else is going to get tattoos and stickers.
No joke, because you're talking like, wait a minute, do I really want to come up with $700 to buy that little?
And this neighborhood where they pass out like 1,000 candies per door, like 1,000,
it's like $300.
Yeah, I'm like, don't make me math. This is not. Yeah. That's it. So, anyways, just saying, if your kid comes back crying because mama and daddy got to go buy candy because all they got was stickers and rocks, like in Charlie Brown.
No joke. Well, and you think about it, like if you make candy for a living, this is your favorite month, right?
This month makes your year.
Yeah, this is Black October for you, right? If you're in the candy making
It
business.
should be. Yeah, so
65 pieces was $20.
was $19.99 on sale
That's
from
normally it was last year. It was like $8.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
I
like
went online
triple.
I did go online on Target, and I looked it up, and there was one for 50 pieces for $8, and that was on sale.
Yeah.
So I don't really know
Which, by the way,
disconnect.
it's probably sold out.
Yeah, probably. So anyways, get your candy now. If you're watching this early October, get your candy now. What did you guys do? I mean, I know you kids were probably like, did your parents decorate for I mean, I did get to carve pumpkin.
We did pumpkins.
I think I carved a pumpkin.
Yeah, we did pumpkins. And I was thinking about that today, actually. The feel of the slimy seed gut stuff, and then the smell, just the beautiful smell of pumpkin squash, just fresh pumpkin. I love it.
I'm sure your mom would have roasted the pumpkin seeds because she was all organic like that. No? She didn't roast them and cinnamon sugar?
She got roasted, but she didn't roast pumpkin seeds.
Okay.
Any excuse to
all right,
get down with the devil.
Well, I do recall some pictures of you, and I wish I had them. Well, you were in your underwear,
my
though.
My mom, actually. No.
Your costume. Wasn't that your... No, it was just
that was different. No, those are underoos.
Underoos.
Underoos is not the same, but my mom, God bless her, she
sewed you guys.
She actually made a pattern and sewed me a Batman costume made out of fabric.
Yeah.
That she bought down at the fabric store.
She is an excellent seamstress.
And then
I just used was because she
then my
doesn't do it
brother was
anymore.
Robin.
Oh.
So it was Batman and Robin. I don't know if we still have a picture of that.
I have a picture of you and your Superman, but I think those are your skivvies.
Yeah, that's not, I would not put that on a podcast. No, but my mom, I was probably 6 and my brother was like 4. And she made us Batman and Robin costumes out of
so cute
fabric from Joanne Fabrics.
You're from around here. Where would you go? Would you go trick-or-treating in Cupertino?
I'd go, to Cupertino. Like, you can look the streets up if you want. I lived on Menhart Lane, and then we would walk down Menhart and Manette, Wunderlich, like up to Tilson, like down to Stern, like right in that little Calle de Barcelona, Rancho Rinconada area.
Would you go into the haunted houses?
No, I didn't like being scared like that.
Me neither.
It just was like,
Knuckles.
I'm interested
we're giving
I'm
Knuckles
interested
here.
in peace.
Yeah.
I like peace and harmony. Can we have peace, world peace and harmony on Halloween night? And candy.
And the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown.
And the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, which it wasn't quite as good as the Christmas special. But if you think about it, it was cool to see Charlie Brown on TV because you only got to see those two. You got to see the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown and then Christmas time, Charlie Brown Christmas. And because when we were kids, like, you couldn't control your content consumption. Like now we just go online, download the movie, $6, $8, watch it
when we
30
want
times,
it,
watch it whenever we want. But when you were a kid, like even before VHS, you couldn't even tape stuff before VHS. You had to wait. And then it was like, don't talk to me. I will clean up my room after Charlie Brown Christmas special is over.
Andrew, which one came first? Christmas or
Christmas.
Pumpkin? The Christmas
special.
and then the Halloween
one.
special.
came out the following
Halloween.
year.
Then there was a Thanksgiving one that was kind of lame.
Well, I'm sure it was only lame because did Vince do the music for the Thanksgiving one?
I think he did.
I think he did all of them.
He
Maybe
did
he
all
did.
of
But
them.
I don't know if he was quite as creative.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
It's since like the September 28th we've started playing Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, the Vince Chiardi. Yeah. So we're in the mood. We're in the mood for fall. It's not. I guess my point is it's not so much Halloween. It's more fall. Although the kids, even though y'all, I do not do horror movies. My children have seen them all, and they really like Halloween and swear it's not that much of a thriller, Mom. It's good, and I just haven't seen it yet. But you're talking to the person who got freaked out at ET. So, like I said, on the spooky meter, I'm probably one of the furthest things from. Oh, so going on with just random topics, I guess, this month of October. Jessica has no particular plan for this podcast. I heard today a statement from my Peloton coach, and he said he was on an airplane. Shout out to you, Bradley Rose. He was on an airplane, and he heard someone say, a son to the mother, said, check out the circle of friends that you have. And if within that circle you are not being inspired or encouraged, it is not a circle, it's a cage.
Wow.
And I thought that was very profound. And he said, man, that's coming from Coach, is what he said. But yeah, he overheard somebody in Coach talking to their mom.
Coming from
Telling their mom, said, like, if you check out the circle of friends that you're with, and if they're not inspiring and encouraging you, then it's not a circle, it's a cage. And it really made me think. It made me think about, like, are there people within my inner circle, in other words, insinuating the people that you are closest to, that are not encouraging you, and potentially are those people that are not encouraging you keeping you caged into a single train of thought, or, where you're at. And so that was just something fun, something interesting that I've been kind of noodling on all day. Evaluating the people that not to like kick them to the curb or anything, but just like maybe how much time I'm spending with people that, aren't inspiring me and that are our close friends or family or associates.
Yeah,
and then recognizing that could cage you, that could lock you up.
Absolutely. I was having that conversation with a friend of mine over the weekend about how, he was saying, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, well, how many people do you know that make $10 million a year that you spend time with on a regular basis? Are you able to consider moving forward in your career, in your education? Like, what's your plan for those things? And he admitted he didn't really have a plan in those areas. And it was less about a call out and more about like, hey, you're asking me to be honest, right?
Yeah.
You become like who you spend time with. And pretty much everybody that I spend time with makes 7 figures. And that doesn't mean I wouldn't spend time with somebody that doesn't make 7 figures, but I'll be there to help them. I'll be happy to answer questions. But if somebody is really, really struggling, like, you're going to help them, but you're not going to spend time with them.
Well, our circles
we don't need, just to be clear, like, the way to solve poverty is not for more rich people to think about poverty. It's for more poor people to think about being rich. It's like we don't want to think like the poor people. We need the poor people to think like us, right? If the poor people think like the rich people, they wouldn't be poor.
And let's define, though, because that can be, I can already hear the people go,
oh, I'm sure the haters are,
but
they're out there.
We're going to just make sure that it's clear that you can be rich and still poor.
Yeah, you can have money and still be poor.
You can have money and still be poor.
And the way that I look at it,
you can be an asshole. Like you can be poor.
That's
but
like
what
that TV show. I know that's what you were thinking about.
What we're looking for, and what we're always trying to encourage and embrace, is wholeness. And in wholeness, being centered and mentally prepared, and being able to be equipped to be able to serve and to help. And serving and helping is like getting rid of the mentality of lack, because there are quite a few very, very rich people who can only see lack in their lives. They can only see problems and lack and stress and anxiety, and they're not what's the opposite of poor? Rich, I guess. They're not rich.
I don't think the opposite of poor is rich. I think the opposite of poor is abundance.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not living abundantly.
And some people might think, well, what's the difference between rich and abundant? Rich is having a lot. Abundant is having more than enough.
Yeah.
And I think you can have a lot of money and still not feel like you have more than enough.
To me, being abundant and walking in abundance, or having access to being abundant, is kind of like when the thing that you're thinking you need is already there. Case example, when you're driving in a very, very nice car and you are driving it for the first time and you go to like put your hand down and there's the turning signal right where it's supposed, like
Yep.
it's like right where it's supposed to be. Or, there's the emergency brake and it's right where it's supposed to be. And everything is accessible. And so when I've noticed people who have a spirit of abundance on them, you'll open the fridge and the eggs are where the eggs are supposed to be and the butter's where the butter is supposed to be. And you go into the pantry and the chips are where the chips are supposed to be. And everything just it's easy for the person who's coming into this environment for the first time because everything is right where it's supposed to be. It's like abundantly, and it's stocked, right?
Yep.
It's not like you walking in and you have those toilet paper things in the bathroom, but it's empty. There's no toilet paper in it. It's like you got the holder, but you don't have the toilet paper. But when you walk in and, the roll's empty and you're at somebody's house for the first time and the roll's empty, and then you look to the left and there's 3 rolls of toilet paper just sitting right there, abundance, thinking and having a spirit of abundance and more than enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
More than enough. And so like being able to have more than enough, I think that we all want to be the house on the block trick-or-treating that has more than enough. We all know growing up which house that
Everybody knows the house that's got
that
lots.
had more than enough and more abundance than, more than enough. So that was just a side train there, little caveat of our thinking was that about the circle of friends and having an abundance mentality. And, if your friends aren't encouraging you and inspiring you, and if you haven't really pressed in and grabbed a hold of what that means to think with abundance and towards abundance, then definitely make sure that you level up or try to because
It's just if you keep hanging out with the same people that are making $50,000 a year, not judging anybody, 20 grand. Let's use something ridiculously low. If all your friends make 20 grand a year, I can tell you, you're making 20, maybe 25 grand a year. And I'm not saying that's even bad. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with making 25 grand a year. I'm just saying that for me to have 7 kids and live in a house big enough to feed them all, pay the electric bill. My electric bill is 25 grand a year. I'm probably exaggerating there, but to be able to pay for the stuff that you need, it's not enough for me. It wasn't enough for me to pay for the stuff that I wanted to do, so I figured out a way to make more. And I'm not here to tell anybody what they should make or what they shouldn't make, but I think we can all agree that if somebody could make more, but they're happy with less, they're happy doing less, being less, achieving less, accomplishing and fulfilling the desires like half full or 3/4 full versus like getting what you want, everything that you want. That's not a great existence.
So how do you suggest that? What are some things that somebody can do to go from the current circle of friends to leveling up, or like where are some places they can go? We started personally. We
just started driving around looking at houses.
We changed our coffee houses to coffee houses in more nicer neighborhoods. We started growing grocery shop. I would personally, if it was if the cost of a vegetable wasn't that much more, I would go to Whole Foods instead of Food for Less, like just little things. I know it takes.
And keep in mind, like we started out, my first job that I was working when I was unemployed, so I was making $0. But the first job that I got was working at the auto parts store, making $8 an hour.
I know.
And I was working 20 hours a week, and I was crushed, exhausted. And the reason I was crushed, exhausted is not because I was working so hard, it's because I was not getting what I wanted, the stress of not getting what I wanted.
And another thing that you did was you weren't afraid to introduce yourself to in your companies that you were in. You weren't afraid to introduce yourself to higher management, to
That's
like
true.
CEOs or like not staying at the watering hole, but actually going toward the executive offices and making sure to be polite and say hello and introduce yourself to them.
Well, over time, I got more comfortable with that. I mean, there's kind of rules about that you don't fraternize with lowly people like I used to be, so I had to be careful with it. But
you'd say hi, or you'd serve and offer to take their coffee for them, or get a cup of coffee, get their trash or what. It's about recognizing that when you're, when George Clooney and Brad Pitt hang out because they can identify with each other, they can talk finances with each other, they can
they're
talk
not
paparazzi
worried.
with each other,
Yeah,
they can they can put down their guard with each other. And a lot of really successful people that you're like, well, why don't I see more, actors and these kinds of things out in the public? It's because they're, they can only take their guard down with each other. And so they create, they create a tribe. And so they have their tribe. And even those that make 20 grand a year have a tribe. And those that make 50 grand a year have a tribe and 500. And so if you're trying to move your tribe or better your tribe or go into a new tribe, it's going to take change, and it's going to take going into, like, the seasons change. It's going to take a new season in your life of you might, feel like you've outgrown your apartment that you're in, and you might be considering going into a nicer part of town, or maybe getting, going from living on your own in a not a nice part of town to getting a roommate and sharing and going to a nicer part of town. Like, these are all tactics that you can do to change where you're at in life, your status of where you're at in life, and be able to understand that, like, there's other levels.
That's exactly right.
There's that. Oh my gosh. It was crazy. I feel like I think pretty big, but when I sent you that Instagram reel of that yacht, it's like,
That was pretty crazy.
I don't know that I've ever seen a luxury yacht. I mean, I've seen outsides of luxury yachts, but I've never seen insides of luxury yachts.
Insides.
That was, I mean, that was insane. So go dream a little. I guess that's what we're encouraging, to dream today.
I would encourage people to dream. Yeah, we drove. I'll tell you what we did. We understood that success is all about understanding the law of parity. And parity simply says the root structure below the tree is going to be the same size as the tree above, with the exception of the sequoias. And that if we're going to be where we want to be, we have to have that belief pull us there. And so if we believe that we're going to do better than we're actually doing, then we'll actually be able to see ourselves move in that direction, and eventually we'll be able to get there. But where does belief come from? Belief comes from inputs, right? The Bible covers that. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word. So if we know that in order for us to do better, we have to believe better. In order for us to believe better, we have to input better. So we would look at inputs like, what are we looking at? We would go, I remember you took me to Nordstrom one time and took a Polaroid camera and had me try on all these nice clothes, and then took pictures of me in those nice clothes. And then, like, I felt guilty, like, we should hang all these clothes up because we're not going to buy them. Like, I know there's people out there listening to this that can relate to that. But we needed to get our vision and our picture of ourselves bigger. We would go test drive $100,000 cars. We would go walk through dream. We would get, like, as cleaned up as we could be, where the nicest clothes from Goodwill we could find. And then we would go to
open houses
looking at $1 million Street of Dreams homes. And we did that over and over and over and over and over again. We're still doing it. We still go to the nice stores. Only now we got to go and say, all right, now don't buy anything today, right? Because we can buy stuff today. We didn't used to be able to buy stuff. We didn't used to be able to go out to eat ever. We go out to eat. We've literally eaten out thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And even to the point now where I prefer to eat at home most of the time. Like, I would rather have dinner around the table with the kids with pork shoulder and onions and tomato paste in the crock pot, because that's homemade, that's real. There's an aesthetic to it that's untouchable. And it's, restaurants are great. They have their place. But, I mean, I love your cooking. I love being home with the kids. I loved having dinner tonight with soup and polenta, or what was the...
orzo, I think.
Orzo, yeah. Having a bottle of wine and enjoying time together as a family. But we were really excited about getting the inputs that said someday we can live in a house that has air conditioning. We did for the longest time.
And someday we'll have a podcast studio with air conditioning.
Someday we'll have a podcast studio with AC. Yeah, right now we're in the garage.
But shout out to Andrew for the awesome lighting
Andrew
and
made
the sound.
It work. Andrew's done a great
He's
job.
made it great.
So,
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Jeff Heilman Project this week. Please hit us up with your comments on what was your Halloween like growing up. I'm sure that we're going to have a lot more to talk about this October. It's one of our favorite months. We have 2 kids with birthdays in the month of October.
Jeffrey and Teddy. That's
2
right.
kids with birthdays, Halloween, and it's just a really fun month for us. And I hope it's an equally fun month for you and that you're staying safe in the storms and the hurricanes. And we love you all.
Love you, proud of you. Thanks for joining us today. See ya.
God bless.